1 Million Cups was born from the idea that communities are built on 1 million cups of coffee. We're making a hypothesis. If Kansas City's entrepreneurs had 1 million more cups of coffee together, that we could fundamentally change the culture of entrepreneurship in Kansas City. So 1 Million Cups is a weekly program held in Kaufman Labs, and each week we feature 2 unique startups from Kansas City. It's a 6-minute presentation format, and it's education-based. As a new company, obviously you're facing unique challenges day to day. So what's your issue? And the audience is made up of other entrepreneurs, advisors, mentors, researchers. We have people who are just interested in entrepreneurship and maybe are thinking about taking the leap. And people who are builders and makers. It's sort of this collaborative education space. You know, people start talking about, hey, this is the gap I'm facing. You know, what's your experience with that? And they're like, oh yeah, well I have my own company and we faced that, 6 months ago. I'd love to help you. This is actually an open forum, so every Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Show up at Kaufman Labs. Please, join us and invite your friends and people who would benefit from that.
We're going to watch a quick video here, and then we'll introduce our next guest.
The first time I made coffee was in a cast iron frying pan, and it was pretty phenomenal to kind of see everything that was happening with that raw coffee and then transforming it into a really, really neat finished product. I'm different because I was told many years ago that I couldn't compete with the big boys, and that was a very true statement. When I have my morning cup of coffee, it's a reflective moment. I think about the farmers in the fields, what they went through to get that product to me, what their families went through. When you drink a cup of Mojo roast, you know that somebody in this world or something has benefited from your purchase. We're in this because it's a passion-driven environment for us. And for me, what drives my passion and inspires me is the excitement that I've been given this gift that I didn't even know I had. When you drink that cup of Mojo roast, you realize that you're a part of a bigger picture.
I call Joe my coffee doctor because I'm not a real big coffee drinker. I'm a tea drinker, but every time that I've ever drank coffee, I get heartburn, and it's just one of those things where I like the taste of coffee, but it just wrecks me. And so Joe is a personal coffee roaster, and she actually showed up today with a whole, it's almost like a prescription. She came up and said, you're going to try this bag first, and then you're going to try this bag, and we're going to wean you onto this. And so she has personally roasted what will help me with, my coffee issues. So it's like a coffee doctor. And it's with that, Joe, she really takes it personally, and she is a personal coffee roaster. Please help me welcome Joe Khalifa with Mojo Roast.
I got to turn myself on here. I think you guys could probably hear me without it. Yeah, after Scott tells me that he's completely weaned off of caffeine, I come with more. So I got to go down here. I was going to show you guys something. Oh, I'm right. So Scott kind of had it right. I am a personal coffee roaster, and I'm the mother of 7. We have a small 40-acre farm up north, 12 miles south of the Manitoba border. And my shop, that little red building, is where we do all of our roasting, and it's about 50 yards from my back door. So I get to be a stay-at-home mom and an entrepreneur, which is really nice. And so I incorporated my business in May of 2005. I had been roasting coffee since about 2001, just playing around with it. We had some really unfortunate circumstances happen early in life with a child that got sick, and it kicked me off of my path to a psychology degree. And when we got her healed and well, I knew I wanted to do something but not go back to school. So I told my husband I wanted a coffee shop, and I couldn't find really good coffee. So I kept telling him, you know, I've got the spot in Minot, but I can't find really good coffee. If you're going to have a business, you have to have the best of what that business may be. So he said, why don't you try roasting your own? That wasn't the good thing, the good thing to say to me. With 7 kids, he's gone 3/4 of the year. He's a captain for Delta and our farm and taking care of everything else that we had going on. So I got curious, and I started looking around on the internet thinking, we have a 40-acre farm. Maybe I can grow it. What kind of pod does it grow in? What does it look like? How does it grow? And I realized that I don't live on the equator, so I can't grow coffee in North Dakota. And but it really struck something in me. And when I started playing with the beans in a cast iron frying pan and kind of seeing how all of the science that I was researching in chemistry and coffee, when I saw it all come together in that frying pan, it excited me. And I knew I had been given a gift. One day I was sitting out on my porch, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning drinking a cup of coffee, and I just had this epiphany, knowing that this gift is greater than I am. And with this gift that I was given, I wanted to share it with everybody I came in contact with. I liked coffee, I love coffee, but I didn't know anything about it. So I thought, well, how many consumers out there know nothing about coffee? And it just kind of led to one step led to another in my business, where I work with the Department of Tourism here in North Dakota and do learning-based tours and educating the consumer. Once you understand what you're consuming, you can make a knowledgeable, educated decision on what you want to have, what do you want to share with your family. So education is really important in our business, and the philanthropy as well. It's turned into more than just coffee for me. I believe in fostering and mentoring business. I believe in networking with other businesses. I got 2 really great friends here that I want to bring up here with me too shortly, and let them kind of talk about this networking thing. How does a coffee roaster and a rodent queen hook up and network? And then a little gal from Regan, North Dakota that just stitches, and she makes really great baked items. How do we hook up, and how do we network and make this a better world? I think you saw in the video, make a footprint, make a difference. That's our slogan. When you're given a gift, I believe in my heart that it's our obligation to give back. And that's what my business is about. It's education and giving back. I mentor women in Rwanda. I'm a coordinator for a women's group in Kenya, and they're coffee growers, and they're just in their formation phases right now, which is really exciting. We're going to go over there, and once we get the program going, help them along and foster entrepreneurship in those countries as well. And here in North Dakota, I do a lot of consulting. I never charge for it because I'm very excited about it. I think if I can offer something to somebody to help them create a business or be better at what they're doing, that's my obligation, I think, as a human being on this earth. And that's what Mojo Roast is about. Every time you grab a cup of that coffee, you should know that you are helping. You're helping in a little way in our environment with the Rainforest Alliance or the World Wildlife Federation, or you're helping with people in need. Here in North Dakota, we help women and children's causes. As far as domestic abuse, we help with the homeless in Minot and feeding the hungry. We help with domestic abuse cases in Peru and Mexico. We help with education in Guatemala. We also help with that in Bolivia and Colombia and Rwanda. So it's kind of a full-scale thing. So if you ever think that, oh, you can't make a difference, you're so small, I am in one of the most saturated industries in the world. Coffee is the 2nd largest traded commodity right under oil. And I wanted to get into it. living on a farm in North Dakota, knowing that I couldn't compete with the big boys. And I saw a lot of people out there. I think what runs entrepreneurs in life is they have about that much pessimism to that much optimism. We're very optimistic people. And I'm grateful for that, because pessimism just isn't in the equation and for me. But when somebody tells me no, that makes me think outside the box. It shouldn't scare you away. I think, okay, there's got to be a way to do this. When I was told I couldn't compete with the big boys, it was true. I couldn't. I can't go into a restaurant or a coffee shop and say, I'm going to give you $10,000 worth of equipment, and then I'll maintain it for you if you buy my coffee. And they know it. The big boys know it, and they told me. And they told other people, and I watched the other people. I think a lot of them didn't move on. They just stopped in their tracks because they couldn't figure it out. And all the while I'm ticking. There's a way to do this. I know how to do it. I figured it out. And I'm known as the only person in North Dakota that you can't say no to in the industry. If you tell me no, I come in with so much ammunition, and you say no to me, you don't want to make money, because I'll walk in your door and teach you how to make money with coffee. People are to look at Starbucks, look at Caribou Coffee, look at all of the competition that's out there. People are willing to pay $5, $6 for a cup of coffee or a smoothie. You can utilize that to benefit you in your industry. If you're in a hotel, restaurant, where you think it's your obligation to give away a cup of coffee, charge them for something excellent. Give them an experience. And that's what my business is about, that experience. And with our coffees, we bring in only specialty grades, so 5% of the world's coffee makes that grade. So we have some of the most unique, rarest coffees. I have a Papua New Guinea, for example, #1 coffee coming out of Papua New Guinea right now for, excuse me, for several years. And it excites me to be able to bring those beans in and try them and understand and know where those families, where they've been. Are you guys all native North Dakotans here? No? Do you know what choke cherries are? So my kids went out and picked about 100 pounds of choke cherries out of our shelter belt, and they went happily to a local business, Pride Dairy in Botno, North Dakota. They make really great syrups. And they sold those choke cherries for 80 cents a pound. If you know what a choke cherry is, 80 cents a pound is not good for all of that work effort put into it. But at least you monetize that fruit. You get money in hand, so you can trade and you can buy things for your family. The world of coffee is like that. People suffer, and they work so incredibly hard. I was lucky to have been able to live across the globe and see how the other half lives, and it's very disheartening. So I can say in all the years I've been roasting coffee, I've never had to throw a bean away, because I take really great care in that, and everything is handcrafted. I don't have computers, or I have big equipment, but no computers. I have to. The only thing I don't have is like the crank on the grill with the rotisserie, because coffee tumbles and toasts and roasts in a big machine with a drum, and mine does anyway. There's a few different ways to roast, but you could do it over a barbecue grill on a rotisserie and a crank, but I didn't go that far. So I want to kind of share a little bit about networking, because that's been really important in my business, and I think it's important for all of you that have businesses to figure out how you can network. How can you touch the next person in business without feeling like you're competing or you're giving away a big secret? And Katie Cashin is one of them, and she came to me and said, Joe, how much do you charge for your burlap? And I said, well, Katie, what are you going to do with it? And she said, well, I want to make bags, and I want to, sew things. And I said, well, do you have a passion? Do you have a cause you're passionate about? And she said, well, yes, I do. And I said, well, then it's free. If you would agree to give 10% of what you make off of that bag to your cause. And she said, done deal. Katie, show them what you did with the Papua New Guinea bag. Come on up here. So if I charged her $5 or $15 for the burlap, right? What would I get off that $5 or $10? Not much. She makes quite a bit more on these gorgeous bags that she does And she donates a lot more than I could even make on the $5 or $10 I'd want to charge her. So it's just kind of thinking outside the box and knowing how you can benefit the community, whether it's a local or a global cause. Carrie? Now, here's another one. How does a great gal like her that's in her industry and a coffee roaster hook up and get together? We start out as getting to know each other through Pride of Dakota, and then we start networking. Pride of Dakota is an amazing group of entrepreneurial, spirited people. It's wonderful to network with. So Carrie and I are talking all the time on how are we going to get together and make this thing work. Go ahead, Carrie, you want to say a little bit?
Sure. I'd like to just take a second and share the true intent of the startup community across America. It's really about ecosystem. It's about bringing together passionate, high-energy entrepreneurs that just get together and make something exist that didn't exist before. And you'll get a chance to see that if you keep coming back, the bigger this community gets. Joe and I, we get together, I mean, it's like fireworks. Ideas come together, we come apart. We have new things that didn't exist before. For instance, I had my whole marketing team in a couple weeks ago from New York, California, Kentucky. I invited Joe over. And now we're working on a project to share with our customer base her coffees, where they can go online and order it just how they want. And it'll be a gifting program, and which supports us, part of our culture too. We love to share what's exciting to us. Our employees get excited. It helps the community. Our customers get excited, and it helps us, it helps Joe, it helps the community. So please keep coming back to this and bring your entrepreneur friends and people that want to be entrepreneurs, because we don't get a chance to get together. And so that's one of the great things about this. Entrepreneurs get together and see each other on a regular basis, and the community benefits, because you can use our resources, you can use our knowledge, our expertise for free. I love Joe.
Thanks so much. And she said it too. You create things that haven't been created. You think outside the box. You think of things that you would have never dreamt you would have thought of. It's an amazing, amazing thing to come together. And I agree. If I didn't live 3.5 hours from here, I'd be here every Wednesday too. So some of you might think, well, what do I do? You know, my packaging doesn't look the greatest on the shelf. It's not, you know, measuring up to what's out there. This is what I started with. I started with a bag of coffee, nice gold bags, I thought, and I put my sticky labels on there, and I have my UPC codes, and everything is stuck on. Very laborious when we have these huge orders. And we went from that to this. And all of our bags, I've got about 40 different copies, and they all look very different. This is my North Dakota Trailblazers. This one's going to the tourism office today. And these are two of the new bags that we just had created. I've got 15 more that are coming out. And then this is our Liberty blend, where we incorporated some of the United States and some of North Dakota in it too. And we don't have to stick a dang thing on these bags. Our UPCs are on them. And sometimes, you know, if you have a hard time trying to figure out how you're going to get from point A to point B, like Carrie said, keep coming, because there are people here that are so willing to help you and tell you how to get it done, because they're as excited about you are, as excited as you are about your business. And that's something. This is going to be a huge thing for Bismarck. I just wish I lived closer.
All right. Do we have questions for Joe? And as you ask a question, as she's answering, if you have another question, raise
First
your hand.
hand up.
What made you decide to go from roasting for just yourself and your friends to going commercial? What was the catalyst for that?
Waking up every single morning knowing that I have that day to make a difference, and that I could make a difference in somebody's life or something's life. Humanity, benefiting humanity and the environment we live in is our cause, and then making a footprint, making a difference is our slogan. So just knowing that I have a gift to share, it's almost like Christmas every day. Every day I get up, it's about that sharing and knowing that that difference can happen.
Could you share some of your customers? I think people would be excited to know.
Oh, Carrie. So we went from being this little North Dakota business on the prairie, literally surrounded by wheat fields or whatever crop is being planted. We have worked with word of mouth from the East Coast. This just shocked me. From the East Coast to the West Coast, one of my customers on the East Coast made a phone call to a friend of hers in LA and told her about me. And from that point, we've got a really huge Hollywood connection. I was actually given a private invitation to the AMAs on November 23rd to go down and feature the Mojo. They love, a production company loves our coffee, loves our brand and what we're about. I don't know if I'll make it for that, but she invited me to the Grammys, the Emmys, and the Oscars as well. But that one little phone call was made to a lady by the name of June Pagan, and you can look her up. I'm on her links. It's JUNEPAGAN.com. She is a celebrity chef. She was a chef for Elizabeth Taylor when Elizabeth Taylor was alive. She served my coffee to Marcia Cross, Henry Mancini, Norman Lear. So we're getting around, and the word of Mojo is really getting out there. Josh Dumal and his family, I'm friends with his mom, that might help, but they really like my coffee too. So, and President Obama, we got to present him with the inaugural coffee basket from North Dakota.
Hi, I was wondering if you could explain a little bit about the process going from your gold bags to your newer bags. Who'd you go through for that, and what was that process like?
Okay, that's a really good question because I struggled with that for a lot of years. How do you, normally when you're in some packaging, you need some type of packaging, you have to order quantities. Like the gold bags, if I wanted them printed on with 40 different coffees, I would have had to order 53,000 of each. That was impossible. My shop couldn't even hold that. So for word of mouth, a friend of mine told me about this small startup in Wisconsin called Roastar. And from there, we have been in business with them, and their minimums are really small. Like if you want to get 100 bags, you can. If you want to get 20, you can. I don't. I buy 20,000 at a time, but of all of my varieties, plus the little 2-ouncer. Scott, you have some if you want to show the little 2-ouncers, yeah. But if you want that information, I'd be happy to share it with you. We actually do a lot of branding too. SRT and Mine at Service River Communications has their own brand right now. I just delivered that to them yesterday. They created the design on the bag, and then we fill it with the coffee of their choice. Dakota Fred from Gold Rush, Alaska is a really good friend of mine, and he has his Porcupine Creek Gold bags, and we also have a candy bar company that Roastar does for our candy bars as well. But if you guys, I'll pass this stuff around if you guys want to take a peek at what it looks like and what it feels like. These are Scott's. I kind of marked down them for him. So, yeah. Did that answer your question? Okay. Oh, yep.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. This is exciting to hear
Oh, thank
your
you.
processing. How did you come up with your name?
I'm Joe.
And
My
how
husband's
does-
Mo.
Oh, okay, that's simple.
Mojo.
That's simple. How do you use branding to kind of run through your product line? And how do you distinguish your coffee from all the other coffees out there?
Okay, and that's a good question, and that's something that we struggled with early on in the business. When you create your niche in the market, and I'm not a follower, I'm a trailblazer, North Dakota Trailblazers, that's kind of reminiscent of me. You have to create your own niche. You can't get into a business, and I've seen a lot of them, especially in this industry, where they think they're going to be instant millionaires. If you're getting into business for that, it's not going to work. And so you have to figure out what is your niche. Well, I thought, I'm a product of the 70s, And I really, when I would go shopping as a kid, I could walk into downtown Minot and people would greet me at the door because they knew I had money and I wanted to spend it in their store on my school clothes. So I had personal shoppers. You could call an operator back in the day and actually talk to a real live person. Well, I also lived in the era where that was transitioning out, that customer service, that personal care. And you don't find that today. And I always knew that I wanted to be in touch with my customers. And truly, I have the best customers in the world. They're educated. We have conversations. I get phone calls when babies are born and grandparents are, you know, it's just an amazing thing. But that whole branding process is making yourself unique and stand out. What I did is I really went outside the box, and it could have crushed me because there's nobody in the world that does what I do. So how do you get that out there? Word of mouth, some marketing. You know, you've got to have, I have a blog. If you guys want to go on mojoroast.com and read my blogs, you can find out a lot more about what we do. But I wanted to make sure that you had, as a customer, you would have that personal experience. So I get my raw coffee in, and it sits in those 156-pound burlap bags until you order. So let's say you want Papua New Guinea light roasted, you want a dark roast, you want a medium roast. That all gets roasted separately. It doesn't get just thrown in one batch and roasted at the same time. We give that personal customer care. And then it's like, well, how do you define that? Because people don't understand personal coffee roaster. Well, what's that? It's kind of like a tailor is to clothing. We tailor make every coffee for every one of our customers. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Thanks for the presentation. Couple questions. Do you have retail distribution in this area? I mean, where can you find your product here on the shelves?
Mocha and More. And we're working on the retail distribution, but Mocha and More in Mandan, they carry our product. I may go visit Dan's after this and see what I can do.
And how many employees do you have up at your
We're,
shop?
right now, family-run business. We have 4. Mm-hmm.
Well, doing things that you're passionate about is obvious when it comes to Joe. Let's give it up for Joe Khalifa one more time with Mojo Roast.
Thank you, guys.